Hello everyone. I am currently over with Shirley Battie at her house. If you followed my material for about a decade, you'll probably see that I interviewed Shirley about 10 years ago. And here we are 10 years later at Shirley's house again. Shirley Battie is the author of 9 books, all channeled. She's a medium, she's a channel. She's had contact with multiple different guides over the years and has been internationally out there speaking and doing workshops and delivering information, drawing down messages, healing, all sorts. So if you've never heard of Shirley Battie, here she is. Shirley, lovely to talk to you again after all this time.
I'm so pleased to be able to connect again, yeah.
It's really lovely.
It's a joy.
It is. As I said in the last time I interviewed you, which was 10 years ago, that we first met in 1993 at a healing workshop.
Yeah.
You had just started channeling.
Yeah.
I had not started channeling at that time. And we were paired together in that healing workshop.
Yeah, I'll never forget it.
And I won't either. I will never forget. It's a very special moment, very special moment. And when you came to heal me, and it's the first time you'd ever healed anyone. It's the first time I'd ever received healing in my life. And I went through a very profound experience where something occurred for me, a release of trauma. Then when I bumped into you, now that would have been probably a good 10 years later. From 1993,
Yeah.
we probably connected again. No, possibly even longer than 10 years. You remembered me straight away.
Well, you don't forget something like that. It was quite extraordinary.
And you remembered exactly what happened to me
Yeah.
in the healing and everything I explained about what I was seeing. But obviously by that time I was channeling. So we then did an interview 10 years ago. I think it was about a decade ago. And here we are now.
And you know, I still use that same healing technique
You do?
that we learnt at that workshop. And I have done workshops with that technique and people have had the most amazing results from it. So
Yeah.
that's with the Ascended Masters.
Yes.
The White Brotherhood.
Yes, I carried on using that healing technique for a while afterwards with people, but then I just sort of stopped as I didn't really go into being a healer necessarily.
Well, what I've found is it's gone further than the Ascended Masters.
Than the original teaching.
They're still there, but we've got so many more teams now from different places in space. Brilliant doctors who come in.
Really?
Oh yes. They're brilliant doctors, you know, in space. And you just ask for them. Especially if you're doing psychic surgery. I don't mean cutting them and plunging your fingers into flesh. They generally tell me when it's going to be an operation.
Right.
They say, this is an operation. And they tell me how to put the person to sleep.
Wow.
It's very simple. And the person always goes clonk and they're out. And they said, this is an operation. They show me, if I ask, they show me what they're doing so I can visually see what they're doing inside the body through the spirit. The only thing is, the person is out. I mean, it's like you've just anaesthetised them. They're gone. Healing's over. And I think, what if I can't wake them up? This happened to me in Australia.
So are you doing this sort of healing now or not so much?
I haven't done
now?
any for quite a while now.
But that's how it was when you were last healing?
Yes.
Wow.
I just go by them, you see.
You listen to what they say.
I listen. Sometimes there's a whole team come in sometimes, not just like you would have in an operating theatre.
Right.
You have a team there. It's not just one surgeon. And you know there's a team there. You just know. And so you can hear them talking to each other while the healing's going on. You don't have to do anything, actually, except keep the contact.
So is this similar, would you say, to a hypnosis type of thing? I mean, is there a connection there when they're going into this?
I never thought about it on that level, but I tell them to go to sleep.
And they do, and they just do.
I mean, I'm a qualified hypnotist.
Oh, right.
So I could do that. But
so is there a connection?
Follow instructions.
So this is more like you're channeling and you are bringing forward the information from the guides and
Yes.
doing what they're asking you to do.
Often this is when I get information. about why they've got what they've got. We've actually channeled Edgar Casey, and he did the same.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He did work like that.
He worked through me once.
Right.
For quite a little while, actually.
Wow. Yeah. So you've got a real life to look back on, haven't you? And I mean, are you happy with this lifetime that you've lived as Shirley Battie?
Oh, yeah. I mean, gone through the traumas, but I think everybody has traumas of some kind.
And are you pleased? Do you feel as though you have achieved what you came here to achieve and lived the mission that you chose to live?
Well, I'm happy. You know, I'm not dissatisfied. Whether I've achieved everything or not, I only upstairs will know.
But you're happy with what you have done?
Well, yes. I can't do any more now. It's too late now. I'm on my way out.
Well, this is what I was going to ask. Would you like to talk to everyone about what's going on with you and that you are preparing to leave this physical reality?
Yes. Well, as you know probably, and others will know, that when you leave this life, any earthly life, you don't stop. I mean, you know, you're still existing. You still continue. And wherever you end up, you still feel as much you as you ever did. Certainly to begin with, you know, until you move on a bit. So it's not a big deal, quite frankly. And I'm quite excited. You know, I've got to go, not got to, but I will go through all the meet and greet stuff, you know, with relatives and friends who've passed over. That'll be done. Once that's done, there's other things for me to do. So you're never on your own. It's like here, you're never on your own. There's always somebody around. Well, hopefully everybody's got somebody. And it's the same when you pass over. Unless you want to be on your own.
Then you can.
But how many people want to be on their own? You know, not really. There's always somebody there to greet you, and you can ask for help if you need it. You won't need it because there'll be so many people wanting to help and take you through the process. It's funny because I've never said this before, but dying is a process, a bit like when you're getting born. It's a process. You have a midwife to help the baby out and so on and so on. And it's similar when you die. You've got somebody there to help you out into the other world. Lots of attendants.
Do you have memories of this in other lives, or is this what your guides have told you it's like? Or is it
it's a bit of a mix?
A bit of a mix, yeah.
Because I've been on the other side, but I've never actually remembered the dying, personally, the dying process. Not on a personal level, all right?
So you don't remember what the physical body goes through as the physical body is dying?
But one thing I do know, and this is through what I've learned, not because of experience, nobody, absolutely nobody, feels the pain of death, the last moment. They don't feel it because they've gone before the physical body dies.
Right.
And it's interesting because it was Edgar Casey who showed me this.
Right.
Edgar Casey, if anybody knows him, look him up. It's Cayce, Casey. He could see people's auras, always. It's natural to him. And he was going to get into a lift. As the doors opened, the people in there, he couldn't see any of their auras. He could see the people, but no auras. And he thought, oops, I'm not getting that lift.
Oh, wow.
So he waited for the next lift.
Goodness.
The lift that had no auras in, they all died.
Wow.
The lift plunged, had an accident, and they all died. Now, this proves to me that the souls knew they were going to die, so they never actually experienced the death. The physical
of the
body
physical body, yeah.
The physical body would have, but it's not connected to your memory or your thought process. Now, we hear about people having accidents, you know, where they hit the wall and, you know, were out of it and rushed to hospital. And people say, do you remember what happened?
No.
They don't.
They would have left the body before.
Because the soul has left the body at that point. And that happens with people dying.
Yes.
The soul body leaves, so it doesn't actually feel the pain of death.
Yes.
So for people who are ill or traumatized in some way for whatever reason, at their end of life, they're not going to actually feel that awful last moment, which is a blessing.
It is a blessing. I was, I have memories of this rather than being shown, but as you say, it's a bit of both. I actually remember a lifetime where I passed over, where I died, but in that lifetime, I don't know when this was, but I hadn't lived a good life in that lifetime. And so the passing for me, and it's not the physical, you're quite correct, it's not the physical body pain that you experience, but what I experienced in that lifetime,
Emotional.
it's the soul leaving the body itself it can't really be seen as pain because you don't have physical senses, but it can be pain on a soul level, or certainly remembered as pain if you've lived a lifetime that has been negative, if you will, or service to self.
Yeah.
But I also was shown, and I went through an experience of, and the guides showed me what it feels like to leave the body. So as the soul is leaving the body in the death process for a person who's lived a good life, a positive life, excuse me for saying a rude word here, but it's actually like your entire body it's like having an orgasm.
Yeah.
That is what, it's the only thing, I know I shouldn't say the word orgasm.
I can believe that.
That's what they showed me, and I wasn't feeling it in a physical sense. I was feeling it in a soul sense, and I'm like, wow.
But you know what that is?
It's like a tingle.
That's love.
It's love.
Because
it's love,
I've experienced
yes.
connection with spirit, with the highest force, God, if you like. And it's an orgasm. Yeah.
Orgasm. Exactly.
Well. It's absolute exquisite.
That's
love.
the ecstasy.
It's ecstasy.
Because you've lived a good life and you're in a positive polarity as you're leaving, but you're correct. It's not the physical body you're feeling. It's the soul aspect,
so it's
the consciousness.
An ecstatic departure.
Exactly.
No, isn't that wonderful?
It is wonderful, and this is obviously where you are moving. That's what you're moving into. That's what you will experience. You would like to tell people, why you're preparing to leave? Well,
apart from the cancer,
right?
You want me to tell them about the cancer?
You don't have to. Just obviously explain to people, why you're preparing to go.
Oh yes. Well, I am 88, so I am due to.
That's a good number.
It's a good number.
It's a very good number.
Keeps telling me.
It's a really good number.
So hopefully I won't get to 89.
Yeah, 88.
That won't be such a good number.
88 is a fantastic number.
Yeah.
It's infinity,
yeah.
double infinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's the cancer.
Yeah.
The two types of cancer. So I don't know which one is going to take me. I suspect it's the melanoma because it's in my ribs and in my lungs. It's in my spine. It's too advanced. So they can't do anything. That's fine. When I was told, I was quite pleased. Now that's going to sound absolutely crackers.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. Well, earlier, because it was picked up on the leg, I was going to have operations, which meant I was going to be incapacitated for about 7 weeks. That's a long time for me. You won't be able to go upstairs because they'll put your leg in it, all this negative stuff. And I really didn't want it. They had to do it. I didn't want it. Then I discovered the lump on the breast, which says, well, we can't, which one is more important? There's nothing we can do about the leg now, the melanoma, there's no point. You're too old for chemotherapy because you wouldn't survive it. We can't do anything. And I thought, oh, thank God for that. I don't have to go through the operations. I just have the palliative care, pills. I've got morphine in the fridge if I need it, that sort of thing. And it's liberty. It's liberating. I was relieved that I didn't have to go through people coming in to look after me and doing my shopping, and thank goodness I can live normally,
And you're still doing everything yourself.
And I am still doing everything myself. I was shopping this morning, doing my own washing and my own ironing and what have you. I do the whole thing, Occasionally, it's very occasionally really, shouldn't say that. I'll get help with the garden,
You are such an inspiration, though.
Well, no. I remember saying to one of my sons, I said, talking about gardening, because I like to grow spinach. I love spinach. I absolutely adore spinach. I didn't do well this year, and it's mainly because I wasn't tending to it.
Right.
The sparrows like it as well.
Right.
Sparrows like spinach, everybody. They eat it. So I said to my son, I said, I probably would grow runner beans next year. He said, oh, you're still intending to be here then next year? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I didn't grow runner beans this year.
Right.
For obvious reasons. I was too tied up with hospitals and things.
But you don't know the timing of when you will leave.
It's
not something you can be told, is it?
Nobody will tell me,
no.
Even if they know. There's only one lady who has told me, and she's a very good medium, and I trust her. And she did tell me, because I said, this is why I want to speak to you. I want to know when I'm going. And whether she's right or not, because as you know, you'll only go when it's your time, for whatever the reason. And she said, I reckon by March.
Of 2023.
Yeah.
But that was her opinion.
Yeah.
And you've not had that confirmed by your guidance?
No, doctors won't confirm that.
Right.
And they wouldn't, even if they knew.
And your guidance system, your guides that are around you, you're in touch with them still every day?
Oh, yeah. I don't know every day. I don't always tap in on them every day. So it's a bit lazy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. But regularly.
On a regular basis. And I speak to them about the pain. Because I do get pain. I've got painkillers, but I don't want to take them unless I really, really need it. So only this morning I sat down and I got the pain. And I said, what do? Do I take the pills? Or do I work through it? Because sometimes if I work through it, it passes because I've decided that I'm going to work through it. All right? And having made that decision, I can go longer before eventually I'll need to take the pills. So they will either say to me, this morning they said, take the pills. Yeah.
Right.
Take the medication.
Right.
But another time they would say, work through it.
They
They know I don't want to take pills. And I've just been given another load of prescriptions, and I've read the little leaflets, and I thought, no way. It's going to end up with more trouble than I've started with. That's my opinion. Doctors will hate me for saying it, but it's my body.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm managing, you see. So as long as I'm managing.
And you're still working spiritually? You're still taking workshops?
Yeah, I've got a workshop this weekend. And
how many people are coming?
I can't get more than 10.
So but you've still got 10 people coming there?
Yeah. Because this room will not accommodate more than 10 people.
Do you see what I mean by you being such an inspiration, though? That you're still working spiritually, you're still helping people.
Well, I enjoy it. Why not do what you enjoy? And
That's amazing.
I know what I'm doing. And I mentioned is to have these little groups every Wednesday. I have a group. Different people every time. So that everybody gets to meet somebody different. So it's not stuck and confined. And I do that quite deliberately.
Yeah.
And I choose the people, actually. They've got to be able to get on with each other.
Yeah.
They've got to be like mine. So, some people talk too much.
Yeah.
And dominate. And they don't get invited again.
Yeah.
Because simply because it's not about one person. It's about everybody having a chat together. So what often happens during the conversation, somebody will say, why don't you run a workshop or we could do thing? And I say, well, what workshop would you like? Well, we'd like to have one. So all their hands go up. They want one. We'll sign up, and they all sign up, and I'm full before I can turn around.
It's amazing.
And it happens again and again. That's what's happening with this workshop on Sunday. I'm full.
And you were saying that, one of your family members is a bit concerned that you're overdoing things, but you explained that this actually energises you, doesn't it? It heals you.
Yeah. It actually keeps me going. In fact, I was told that it is the spiritual work that I do that is stopping me from going.
I would agree with that.
Because it's stronger than the physical.
I would agree with that completely.
Yeah. So I'm saying to them, oh, flipping heck, you're stopping me from leaving and I'm looking forward to going. They can't have it both ways.
No, that energy, that chi, that prana running through you.
Yeah. It feels strong, you know.
Without a doubt. And I can feel that, being with you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I'm not weeping and wailing. And as long as I've got tablets to take for the pain, which is manageable, and that's all you need, is manageable, I know there'll be a time when I have to rely on others. And apparently that's the biggest lesson I've got in this life.
Yes, because you've always been independent.
I have been independent since I was a child, all the way through.
So you're being taught at that point to surrender.
Surrender is what I've got to do.
Yeah, and relying on another.
And allowing and
that.
asking for help.
Yeah.
I find that very
hard. Yeah.
I really find that hard. It's easier if somebody says, I'll do this, rather than saying, what would you like me to do? Because I never think of anything they can do.
So you'll need that lesson for your next...
It's a lesson. It's a big one for
your next journey, for where you're going.
Yeah, I do not like the idea somebody coming in here having to clean the house or look after me physically or, oh, what a horrible thought.
I know.
You know?
I know, I think everybody doesn't want to be in that situation.
Dependent on anybody else physically.
And that's where the surrender comes in.
Yeah, it's my biggie.
It's a tough
big lesson.
one. Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to get through that.
Well, I think you will.
Yeah.
You have your guides to help you. They're always with you, though, aren't they?
Yes, I know they are. But sometimes I feel, this is going to sound dreadful, my guides won't like me. Sometimes I feel I override them.
Well, yes, I understand that.
I'm a bit bossy.
Yeah, I do understand that, yeah.
So I say, oh, flip that, I'm not going to have that, I'll do it my way.
Who are you in communication with at the moment? Is it different guides each day?
No, I never ask the names.
You don't? You just communicate with that?
I mean, I know who they are by... Sometimes they'll only tell me if I'm channeling, actually channeling.
Actually in a channeling session.
And somebody says, who are
you? Right.
And then I've had Solomon. Yeah. Solomon is absolutely lovely, but he's very powerful. But I tend only to get, if I channel, I only get the powerful ones. I don't get the weak and willowy, sweetness and light ones.
Right.
That always do this, be like that, the strength that comes through. And people listening can feel that. But they don't worry about names at all.
So it's a whole team.
It's a team.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing not this Friday, next Friday, soul readings, which is channeling. So this is quite hard work for me, actually, because of the responsibility. Because I have to go into a trance. I don't have to, but I mean, that's the way I do it. And I channel each individual that's come, their past lives, who they really are, where they've come from, and what their strengths are, what they should be working on. And at the end of it, that's the hard part, because I'm not deep trance. I'm aware. I'm listening.
Yeah, same.
You know what it's like. I'm listening.
Yeah, light trance.
Yeah, it's a light trance.
Same, yeah.
So, but at the end, when it's all done, each person has been done, they will then show themselves. Those present, I don't know, I've got my eyes shut, they will see spirit over me. Right. And they can describe them.
Right.
And all the energy goes into showing them. A lot of people come twice, they just want to see that again, because it's very clear. And I think they do it on purpose, because it's proving to them this isn't just some little old lady saying what comes into her head. They wouldn't show themselves like that if that was the case. And this place is absolutely full of spirit.
Yes, I remember you saying that last time that we did an interview. Yeah. I remember you talking about the house and things that had occurred here and the energy. And as I said to you when we first came here, I could feel that, especially with all pictures of your guides all over the wall and all the crystals you've got. So, what do you know about where you are going next? And can you explain... Do you think your knowledge of where you're going next, or are you even creating a trajectory for where you're going next?
No.
Is that you're not? So you're being shown potentially
I'm
things.
not creating it.
Oh.
I mean, I know what it's like on the other side. I've been there, like in my meditations. I've actually been and worked on the other side several times, lots of times. And they're as real to me when I made those journeys as I am sitting here. I am there, you know. It's not like I'm in a trance or anything. I am actually there. And I'm interacting with whatever's going on. Just like you do in a dream. Yeah, I mean, when you're in a really good dream, you're there, aren't you?
Doesn't one of your books talk about this?
Yes, I believe you.
I thought so. I'm sure I've read one of your books where you talk about actually being there.
That's probably in the book Love Being a Human.
I think
Probably,
it is. Yeah.
So the other three of the other trilogy books is more about what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
You know, on a military level, if you like.
And those 3 books were brought forward in the guise of fiction.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
How does I remember this saying, how does a man tell the truth? He writes fiction, fact into fiction.
Yeah.
So mine is fact, been researched, personal experience, written as a story, as fiction.
Yeah.
So if they come after me and say, how did you know that?
Yeah.
I say, oh,
it's
it
fiction.
just came into my mind, it's made up.
I'm doing something similar.
Yeah. But I'm researching the facts.
Yeah.
So there are facts in those books.
And what are those 3 books called?
Calling Earth.
The Calling Earth trilogy.
Calling Earth 1, 2 and 3. And it's about what's really going on this planet. And we're talking about the manipulation that is going on, everything you can think of that the public should know and are not being told.
Yeah.
But this is all connected with spirit as well, you see. So
of course.
Because I mind travel. Don't know if I mentioned this last time.
That's in your book.
It's in the book.
Yeah.
When I go off, as I said earlier about being on the other side, I'm actually there. I can touch things.
You're there already.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking in. It's not an image that's passing by. I'm actually working there, and my spirit guides are with me, and they're telling me, do this, do that. Now, to explain that further, because I've done some most amazing things on the other side, and I'm saying physically, because they explained, because I said to them, why don't you do this? You don't need me to do this. They said, yes, we do. Because, first of all, you're a citizen of Earth, and only a citizen of the Earth is responsible and must do something about it, not us.
Yeah, that's true.
That's one thing. I said, and the other thing is, you are third dimensional, but you're able to travel into a higher state. Now, you know that ghosts, spirits, they're in the next dimension. They feel physical, and they can move things. They can I've had that thrown off the wall. You know, like poltergeists, they've got the energy to do things like that. You go that bit higher, and they're too high to be able to come to that vibration. Yeah. It's exactly the same. Yeah. So you go into that next vibration where you can move things, you can press buttons, you can make a difference. Yeah. And what's even more important, you can be seen.
Yes.
By even though you're in a higher vibration. Yeah. Although you're not seen on the third dimension, you are seen there and interacted with. Yeah. So that's why I say I can do these things. Yeah.
So all of this that you have lived in your life and the ability to be there in other dimensions, communicate with beings in other dimensions and have experiences, do you think that's one of the main reasons why you are so positive and balanced about leaving your physical body? Is it helping you with the death process?
I feel, actually, I'm looking forward to the next adventure. Right. Because I've done what I've done here. There's a lot of people doing it as well. The same thing, Yeah. Why continue to do something other people can do? And I've always operated this. Don't do what everybody else can do because it's not needed. There's enough other people doing it. Yeah. So what don't they do? Yeah. And so I'm looking forward to that, going on the other side, finding out what's the next adventure.
The next big adventure.
The next big adventure. What can I do? Well, that's why I'm excited.
Right.
Because this is becoming, not mundane, but
you can feel your life.
anymore.
Right. Do you feel that your life you're in now is, you know, winding down and you're becoming aware of where you're going next? To a degree.
I know where I'm going because they've told me what I'm going to do.
Are you keeping that private, or can you share?
No, I've no proof.
All right. Well,
I can't prove any of this.
No, of course not, of course. I think the people that will watch this video are going to be an open-minded,
and I can be wrong,
audience.
of course.
Absolutely.
I mean, nobody's ever right. If they are, then they're lying.
Yeah, I always say to people listening, go with what resonates with you.
Yes. And if it's right and it's what you want, wonderful. If it's wrong, okay, got that wrong this time.
Yeah.
Next time. So what I've been told is, well, first of all, I'm going to be channeling from the other side. But they need somebody, and I was told this quite clearly, who can channel from a high vibration. I mean, you can channel like dearly departed Aunt Maud and Uncle Joe or whatever. That's not what they want.
No.
They want somebody who can channel through from a higher vibration. Because when I go, I'm going, after a little period, there's a little period, recovery period, I'm going to be working from within the White Brotherhood, the Ascended Masters. And they say from within, because it's quite a big group actually. It's not just the 12 that we know about, you know, that everybody knows about. But I'm going to be working from within because I'm a teacher. At heart, I'm a teacher. And I know that. I know I'm a good teacher. Without any big-headedness. That's what I can do.
Yeah.
That's why I need to leave, because I've taught people so much now here, they can all do it themselves, you
Yeah.
see. So don't need me anymore. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Which is lovely. I mean,
It
it's the
is
whole
lovely.
purpose, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to be teaching those they brought into the White Brotherhood, because it's going to grow, who are learning the ropes. They need teaching how to operate within it. I should be teaching people how to channel and how to communicate. And, you know, all that goes with working from a higher level.
So are you teaching, do you mean you're teaching non-physical individuals who have passed over themselves, or will you be teaching physical individuals in this plane, or both, do you think?
I don't know.
You don't know. You just know that you're going to be
never,
teaching.
Yeah. And it's from within the White Brotherhood, because I've had the connection with White Brotherhood right from the very beginning.
Yes, I know you have.
Like even the healing workshop was the White Brotherhood.
Yes, And the 9 are connected to that source.
Well, they're one big.
Yeah.
We're all one, aren't we?
Yes.
Just
so if you're going
departments.
right with, have they told you you're going to the centre or the core of that?
The way they put it, it was the inner sanctum.
Right. Okay. So that would equate to what I know to be, in the information I've had, the 9 call this the central point, the nexus point, or the pivot point of an infinity structure, which would be a White Brotherhood in a personality presentation, which is the core of the infinity. It's a source point.
Yeah.
It's a teaching. So you're individual.
Yeah.
You retain all the memories that you have as Shirley, and retain all the memories you have in all your lifetimes, and take that into that structure. So you are someone who is going to be working by sharing the memories that you've had in all your lifetimes.
Yeah, I don't know until I get there. But all I know is it's something fresh, something new, and I need something new. I'm always looking for something. So as not to do the same thing again and again and again that other people can do.
Do you see yourself coming back into a physical, I would say 3rd dimensional or 4th dimensional physical? You were talking about Earth and what we're going into, and you also mentioned earlier about the 2 Earths.
2 Earths, yeah.
Can you talk about that?
But you know, not just the 2 Earths, but there are many Earths. There's multiple Earths out there. But for the purposes of here we are now, we'll just speak about the 2. When I connect, I get visuals. I ask about it and then they tell me. That's the way it works with me. I get the visual first. And they showed me the planet Earth like that. And they said, Mother Earth is going, and I've got lots of messages on that, Mother Earth giving birth. And when anybody, any being, gives birth, it slowly comes out like it separates, as all cells will separate, and it's a cell. But this is the mother and this is the new baby. And it's still attached to the umbilical cord. And all the information from there is passing through into the new baby. But the new baby has its own ideas as a new entity. But it still retains. They did it very slowly, but very carefully. And they said eventually, of course, that umbilical cord is cut. And so it's separate. But it's a new earth. It's a new baby. It's a new being.
Mm-hmm.
The third dimensional earth, the mother, stays the same, because the mothers stay the same. They're just the same as they were before. Third dimension, all the stuff that's going on here now. But the new earth, the new baby has different ideas. All right?
Yeah.
And it's on a higher level. A bit like new children being born now. So it's whoopee, here we go, and it's all bright and shiny. Now, people have said, well, what happens to all the people on, where do they go? Well, if they're third dimensionally minded and activity, they'll stay there, because they've got to sort out the mess that's been made on that third dimensional earth. They can't move on until they have moved on themselves. It's a being, But the new one has got new ideas, new fresh information, more connections, all the rest of it. It's a new baby. That would be what you might call a 5-dimensional, the new one. So remember that some of the stuff in that growth is going into the new earth, as it does with babies. You get the genetic connection. So a lot of that will be there, but there'll be 5th dimension. They'll be the new ones to start. So it doesn't mean this is a penance for staying where you are. It's just they weren't able to move into a different dimension, that's all. I'm going to go on about dimensions, but you can do this better than I can. Much better.
I think that is such a lovely way of explaining what's happening, because I do have people that get confused and can perhaps listen to my material but still not quite get it, and I think that's such a lovely way of explaining it. So I think one of the confusions with this concept is if the individual is moving to the baby, which we can call New Earth, in this actual physical reality that we live in, the old Earth, the 3D Earth, and the baby 5D Earth, are they actually superimposed within their life? I mean, how will they live? For example, say I go to the 5D baby Earth and I walk down the street. Will I walk past someone who's in the 3D Earth, or will we literally just not meet one another or come into one another's reality?
I haven't actually asked Spirit this, but logically, nothing ever dies. Anyway, everything that's ever been exists forever. I mean, you look up neutrinos, and that proves it. That everything that ever was, ever will be, and so on and so on. And there's no such thing as time. And we can travel back and forth in our not daily life doing the shopping and stuff, but in other ways we can. To give an example how time can cross and merge, this is an experiment. I may have mentioned this last time, I don't know. But on one of my meditations, remember I'm very physical when I go into meditation. I feel physical. And I was in this village, I'm trying to cut this short, and I entered this house. I can remember the floorboards and everything, really clear. And there was this old lady like on a bed in the far corner of the room, and all her relations were around her, clearly waiting for her to die. Have I mentioned this before?
No, not that I remember.
No. They were obviously waiting for her to die. They couldn't see me, but she could. And she looked up at me with beautiful blue eyes, very old lady. I can remember holding her hand. It was all bony, old age. And I knelt down beside her and I held her hand as she died. And I thought, wasn't that lovely? So I got up and walked out the stairs, back into my other meditation and back into this life. But I asked about it and they said, she was you.
Do you know, I was picking that up.
You helped her to die. You helped her.
I actually thought that.
Yeah.
I thought it was you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see? So There's me from the future.
Yeah.
She'd have seen me as somebody, a being of some kind,
Yes. Yeah.
to help her over.
Yeah.
But I was actually helping myself from a past
Yes.
life.
Absolutely. That's what I picked up.
Isn't it? But
It's
that's exactly
amazing.
how it was.
You know, I think you and I have known each other outside of this life.
Probably. We wouldn't have that connection otherwise.
It was so profound when we met and then met again, and you know, doing this interview now, I feel I'll see you again.
Well, if
I do
I'm
feel I'll
going
see
to
you
channel, I'd like to channel through you. But it won't be my choice now. It'll have to be what I'm directed to.
Well, I will be open to receiving that, should that be something you choose to do from...
But you channel very differently to me, because it's a bit like Paul Dobricari. He loses me always. I haven't got a clue. I tell him straight. I said, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. I'm sure it's...
I have to struggle to keep up sometimes with him. I have to get him to repeat it, what he's saying. Sometimes I get it straight away. Sometimes he needs to repeat.
I don't even try now. I said,
Oh.
I just don't. I forbade him to ask questions during the channeling. I think there'll always be highfalutin and nobody will understand. Yeah. But anyway, I love him to bits. So
Yeah.
it's just
And he has some great information and really, really good
He's
connection.
just on a different way of thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're the same, you see.
Similar to Paul, I would say.
Yes.
Different but similar. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of what you say, I think, oh God, I can't work that one. How does she remember that? And it passes me. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I'm like the two earths.
Yeah.
I have a very down-to-earth, simple explanation that almost people can understand.
And
they don't have to work it out.
people need that.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who they want the kind of material they would hear from me or from Paul because they've
Well, it's necessary for them.
Yeah, but there are other people who struggle to get that, and their minds will respond so much more with the information you're giving.
Yeah, it's very simple, basically.
I mean, I suppose so, but I think really, I don't know as I'd use the word simple. It's more, you are presenting visuals that are very easy for people to take in and understand. I mean, the whole new Earth thing, the whole bifurcation of the Earths, the two Earths. Obviously, we're looking at metaphor. It's incredibly difficult to describe a multi-dimensional reality. As you say, there are so many different Earths, but to explain it as the mother and the baby, and you know, and I wonder.
But you see, interrupting you because I'm terrible at interrupting.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
The moon, for example, there's been an awful lot of. Is it this? Is it that? Is it a satellite? Is it natural? Blah. Where did it come from? But I've actually been inside the moon.
So what did you experience there?
Well, you see, they don't do it like going on a spaceship or anything. In my meditation, I arrive. I always say to the spirit, I say, take me where I need to be. That's my invitation to them to take me where they need me to be, because I don't know where I'm meant to be.
So meditation was one of your best tools, would you say?
Yeah. Always, because I mind travel. So I find myself, you know, one of the creators. I've written about this actually.
Which book have you written about in this? In case somebody wants to go and read it.
Well, it could be in Love Being a Human. It could be in the trilogy.
Okay.
It could be in both. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it's definitely in the book, which is out of print now, so it's no good me talking about it.
Oh, really? So would people not be able to find it?
Well, I only printed about 50 copies, you see.
So they would find your trilogy.
I could put it out again, but it's going to cost me a couple of £1,000 to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But your trilogy's out there for people to...
The trilogy's out there.
And you have rewritten your first book, Channeling, haven't you?
Yes, that's the latest one.
Yeah, okay. So you're in this... You ask them...
Oh, yes, to the moon.
Right, yeah.
So I've got this crater, and it's opening and shutting, a bit like an eyelid, you know?
Right.
I thought, oh, that's interesting. But it's an entrance.
Right.
They are actually entrances there on the moon. So, and I'm not thinking about men in suits or anything like that. So I go into this entrance, and I find myself in a passage, and there's loudspeakers. What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here, you know. And I'm getting warning klaxons saying, how did she get in? And then I got to meet a family there, and they say, you shouldn't be here, you know, we don't welcome visitors. We've got communities living here.
Oh, are they human?
Human beings.
Yeah, no.
We've got community. This is in my meditation. We've got communities living here. We don't like uninvited guests, and it went on from there. I can't remember the whole thing.
But you stayed.
Well, I walked along with her, and I went through various. It's all in the book, you know. It's all gone now, but it's all there. So I've been inside the moon, but it isn't what people think. There are tunnels. There's habitations.
Yeah.
They're not all on the surface.
No.
They're inside.
No, I agree completely with you.
Yeah.
I haven't been there, but I've been told.
But that's how they
what it's
showed
like.
me, you see, and I'm actually visiting.
Yeah. So is the moon artificial as a satellite? Was it brought into this solar system? Or is it actually an organic structure like Earth? Or didn't you didn't get that information?
I didn't ask because you're there. It's like walking into a group of people. You're asking. You're not saying how did this. But
No, you're just there with them.
You're just there, and yeah. But my feeling is, it's actually riddled inside with tunnels and living quarters, and it's not on the surface.
No,
you know, it's all inside. So,
what was that? Sorry to interrupt. What was the film we recently saw, Daniel, about the moon? Was it called Moonfall? So this is actually you should. It's a science fiction film, and they go to the moon for they had to move the moon to do with an asteroid.
You see, the moon is no accident. But
it's
moon
just what you said.
Is exactly where it's meant to be.
Yes, absolutely.
To enable Earth to function the way it does.
Yes, exactly.
One little shift of that moon would completely disrupt this planet. You know? So
very mathematically precise.
It's been placed there.
Yeah, and my feeling is it's been placed there too, I would agree, but my feeling is that the moon over time has developed a consciousness.
Everything has a consciousness.
Exactly.
Even a rock has a consciousness.
Yeah, and I saw a rock in a out-of-body experience recently and did a video about that, and it was a rock and it was talking to me.
Yeah, I've had rocks talk to me.
Yeah,
I've spoken to the rock.
Wonderful.
I said in exchange for this, because I was hugging this big boulder type rock, and I said, oh, this is lovely. I said, but in exchange, I want all your knowledge.
Excellent.
I thought, you're not just going to have my energy, I want your knowledge as well.
That was a very similar situation with me. There was an exchange of energy. I think rocks store lots of knowledge, don't they? And crystals. Yeah. So you've experienced any other planetary systems as well in meditations over the years?
Not in the same way
as the moon. Right.
It's different. It's been more craft. Travelling craft.
So you've been on the craft?
On a craft. I remember the first time. God, I do remember that so well. You always remember the first time, don't you? And
was that pleasant, a positive experience?
Oh, yes. It was when I met Ossishu up there. The first time I actually met Ossishu, I've spoken to him before, you know.
But you met him on the ship?
I actually met him. And I entered this room, whatever you want to call it, and there was all these desks and monitors, you know, and a whole group of beings there. I thought they all had helmets on, but actually it was their bald heads. I didn't know about little greys. Yeah. This is going back to the 90s.
Was it? So you actually met the greys?
With the little greys.
Were these the good, positive greys?
The little greys are neither good, positive nor bad. They do what they're told.
So they're neutral and they're kind of like...
They're there to operate and to do the job.
Are they like an artificial intelligence type of organic? You're not sure.
Remember, this happened
in the 90s.
And I was there. I didn't know.
You didn't.
I wasn't even thinking ETs.
No.
I didn't know about little greys. Like now, if it happened now, I would be in a... Anyway, I realised that these were their heads, not... And I walked past them, and in walks Ossishu. I have written about that in my book.
Okay.
Love Being a Human. And he was so clearly the boss, you know. And I communicated with him telepathically and through his eyes. Oh, it was very, very powerful. I've been on since then. But I remember that first time.
Wow.
And I have written about that in Love Being a Human.
And you go back to the same ship?
I never know whether
Never
it's
know
the
it's the
same.
same
I've
one.
been back. They all look the same inside. Once you get inside, they're much bigger inside than they look on the outside.
So Love Being a Human...
like the TARDIS, you know.
Right, yes. So Love Being a Human, in that book, is teaching people how to do what you do?
The book channeling is more how to
That's
channel.
more how to channel.
That's a how-to.
But there's one where you go down the stairs, isn't there?
Oh yeah, that's the book I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's the one I should redo.
Isn't that the one where you actually explain how to get into the state where you are actually there?
Yeah.
So what you're doing is teaching people to, I would say, not lucid dream because you're not asleep, but meditate in a lucid sense, or go through a perceived out-of-body experience in meditation. Yeah. So you're using the Merkaba. Yeah. That's what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I can actually activate the Merkaba.
Yeah.
I do that. I did do that when we had live talks, in front of an audience.
Right.
Perhaps I shouldn't be telling people this. It's all Zoom now.
Yeah,
Before I began the talk, the people were gathering. I used to stand at the back of the hall, and I used to create a Merkaba.
Right.
For the whole place.
Yeah.
And people felt it.
Yeah.
But it was good. I mean, it was meant to be.
Yes, because it's a container. It's a hermetic seal.
Yeah.
You're sealing the group and moving into that powerful...
Making sure the energy was there.
Energy, that container, that ritual or ceremony.
But I did that quite deliberately.
Yes.
In the way I protect this house.
And your guidance system taught you to do that.
Yeah.
So that would be... So what's the book called when you go down the stairs?
That's called... Beyond the Stairs.
Beyond the Stairs.
Now,
and
you've given me an idea, you see.
You want to reprint that one?
Because everybody keeps saying you've got another book to write.
Well, I think, you see, with Beyond the Stairs, the kind of audience that I have, what I'm constantly saying to these people that listen to me is, it's not about listening to me, it's about you doing this
what you take
yourself.
On board. Yeah.
And if we get into a situation where we can't communicate, say something happens to our communication systems logistically, like the internet and the phones and everything.
Going to happen, by the
you
way.
will. Do you feel that
I do
will?
feel that. And that's been coming for a long time.
Do you have a time for that? I know that's a tough one because I don't.
Do you know, I was in America. This was in 1994, I think it was. I've been to America lots of times, and I met this man who was, he was an electrician. He'd come to repair or do something, it doesn't matter. And he said, there'll come a time, he said, this was in the early 90s, when electricity's going to fail. What are you going to do then? It's just one ordinary everyday workman. He said, when you don't have any electricity, there'll be no sewage works, there'll nobody pumping your water through the taps, there'll be absolute sheer. And he said all it takes is for electricity to fail.
And then that will be a knock-on effect.
That's going to happen. You can see it almost happening.
Well, we've got the whole sort of people not being able to afford the electricity already before anything after that. But
that was from him, not from spirit.
That was from him. So your book, Beyond the Stairs, would give people a practical teaching to be able to do what you did.
Yeah, it's a meditation teaching book because I've written down all my meditations because they're like parables. They're like little stories.
Mine are sort of like that too.
You see?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, if I can do it, anybody could do it. All you need is this technique. Yeah. And the technique is self-hypnosis.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yes, you're quite right. But it's self-hypnosis if you want to look at it in a more psychological way. But spiritually, it is the creation of the Merkaba, and it is the ability to, as you say, mind walk, dream walk, use meditation as a trigger.
It's one of my favourite workshops is to teach this kind of meditation because even people who've never meditated in their lives have wonderful journeys.
So your trilogy books is delivering information about which is hidden through fiction.
Yeah.
But Beyond the Stairs is the teaching tool. So is Channeling, your first book, but Beyond the Stairs is a teaching tool to assist people to be inspired, to actually travel, to do it for themselves and gain knowledge.
The idea is to inspire them.
Yeah.
Because I could just write the technique.
Yeah.
And I think, oh yeah, well that's interesting, boom, boom.
But it's nice.
It's not enough.
No.
But when you read what you can achieve, where you can go, and the lessons you can learn from it.
Yeah.
It's a bit like my dream. Now, I was told ages ago that when people stop meditating or don't meditate, they'll often get the spirit. How are their guides going to get information to them?
Yeah.
They give it to them in a dream.
That happens to me. If I don't meditate for a while, my dreams will go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
it's
and
got
then it's
to
up
come
to us
through.
to interpret the dream.
Yeah.
I've had so many meaningful dreams.
Yeah.
It's just up to us to interpret, a bit like charades, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you feel that your books are a legacy to humanity that you're leaving?
I'd like to think that.
I certainly feel that they are. You know, and your teaching lives on.
I would like to know that that's happened.
I would say, I think that could be pretty much
it's
guaranteed.
been my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I live for.
Yeah.
I don't live for going to see the latest film or anything else, really. This is my purpose in life.
Yeah. You know, you often hear stories about like authors who, you know, wrote poems and stories and hid them in their house, and it's not till after they've passed that the family finds them and then they publish them. I think that was one famous author we saw a film about. So your lifetime is work, but there is a legacy that you can leave, and you've done that with your books. I think Beyond the Stairs would be a wonderful one to get back in print. If I know it's a lot of work though, but
it's money as well.
And money,
you see.
And but you're channeling. You've got that in print. Do you do the Kindle? Have you not?
Oh yeah, it's all on Kindle.
On Kindle as well.
You can get it off Amazon.
Right.
Kindle.
So could you do Beyond the Stairs just Kindle only? Would that be easier?
So that people even considered it. I like a proper book.
I know it's
and
nice.
Kindle.
It's not. That's what I do. Have both.
And I could do that through Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do through Amazon. Yeah.
Because going the other route just takes too long, and it's just as expensive. So I like to choose what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, we like to do
You see,
that.
my very, very first book was by Godsfield Press, very good publishing company. That was channeling. And they actually asked me to write it, all right? They want it as part of their series. Okay, it sold. Then they decided they weren't going to do it anymore. You know, the series had finished, no longer in print. That's a very short time.
Yeah.
So they have copyright. It's taken me 10 years to get the copyright back so that I could reprint. So that's why it's back out in print now.
Is channeling a series of meditations to take you into channeling? Or is it a different kind of teaching?
It's a how-to.
The book that taught me how to channel was called Channeling. But I can't remember the author. And I read it in 1993.
Yeah,
I read it shortly after I met you.
I was never taught how to channel. You see,
It happened to you in meditation.
It happened. And somebody, Roy Breeze, who you may still remember, he said, you know what you're doing, don't you? He said, you're channeling. I said, what's that?
Right, yeah.
I didn't even know it was channeling.
Yeah. Because
they taught me how to speak what was happening.
Yeah.
And he said, that's channeling. But I didn't know. And I moaned, and I think I've written about this in Love Being a Human, how it happens. I was getting this wonderful stuff and then forgot it afterwards. And I said, what's the point if I can't remember?
Yeah.
And they said, you must speak it. You must
record it.
You see? So
you started recording everything.
Yeah. All the stuff that went before was lost.
Yeah.
Because I cannot remember.
Well, I suppose years ago, mediums would have had to have written something down, or maybe they would have had someone else writing things down for them before the internet. Of course, now it's easy to just make a video and,
Yeah.
and record everything.
I mean, Edgar Casey, he had somebody.
To do
I mean,
that
he went
for
into
him.
trance. But if people didn't ask him questions, he just stayed in trance.
Yes, so it's question triggered.
It's the questions. You must have questions.
And I agree. I find when someone asks a question, when else asks a question, it takes an energy into you, and instantly the answer springs up in response, like this parallel reaction. And you can ask questions yourself, and I do. When I write, I ask questions to the nine. But there's a difference sometimes when someone else asks you a question.
When somebody else asks, you don't know what the question is going to be.
Yes, that's
true.
true.
There's no pre-thought.
No, there's no pre-thought, exactly.
And you know it's coming
and you
from
know it's
somewhere
coming
else.
from somewhere else. Yeah, totally.
It makes all the difference.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
So, can I ask, if someone were to find themselves in a similar situation to you, as in they're in a situation where they are going to leave the physical body, that's normally really difficult for people and quite traumatic. But for you, you've found a way that's naturally occurred to you. It's not something you've had to search for. It's you naturally. You are in a different situation. You are just, as we've said, taking that as the next big adventure.
Yeah, bring it on.
So can you...
My only concern is preparing the family.
Yes.
Because I love them.
Of course.
You know, we love our kids, we love our friends. And I sat here the other week and thought, I'm going to leave all this behind. I'm never going to be able to see this. All my friends again. It hit me, you know. Like, wow. You know, I really am leaving all this behind, and that includes family and friends.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, I think, leaving the family.
Part. But my main thing in my desire is to prepare the family, and I'm doing that all the time. I'm telling them.
Yeah.
I've even asked that we have the wake at the Hamworthy Club, because it's big enough.
Yeah, just round the corner.
Yeah, so I'm trying to organise.
But it must be easier for them to know that you're not suffering with this. You know, you are seeing this as your next big adventure, your next big step. When my father passed in 2018, I mean, he had dementia at the end, but in his early stages of dementia, when he was still able to think and reason, we talked about this. We had these kinds of discussions. And after he passed, and when I was in grief, after the first 2 weeks, I turned to the nine and I asked them, why has this happened? I'm suffering. I was even not angry with the nine, but it was like
anger is a part of grief, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not that I didn't want to talk to them or that I was angry with them, but it's just like, I've got this ability to talk to you, and why has this happened? You know, that sort of thing. And they responded to me, and I wrote it all down, a whole conversation. That's all going in my next book.
Oh, good.
Talking about how I dealt with the grief of losing my father and how I worked spiritually. And I actually asked the nine, where is my father? Now, obviously, they can't tell me about his personal journey, but what they could do was generalise, and there were certain things they could say about his journey without infiltrating onto his free will. So what could you say to people who are in this situation, either of having to prepare to leave themselves or a loved one around them? I know it's different for those who don't have the spiritual knowledge that you have, but for those that are listening to this video, they will have.
I can recommend a book, because I can't say everything. That's what it's like on the other side. Take too long. But this one little book will give it to them, and it's called Testimony of Light, and it's written by Helen Greaves.
Testimony of Light by Helen Greaves.
That's Greaves.
And that's recommended.
That's possible. You can get it off Amazon.
So that's highly recommended.
Oh, because she talks this. Somebody's channeling from the other side what it's like over there.
And is this accurate material from your perspective?
From my perspective, it's perfect.
Wow.
It's absolutely perfect. And it's reassuring to so many. And I talk about this, and I know this because I've actually been on the other side. When you go over, how can I put this? If you have any issues to resolve, get them resolved before you go. because you take them with you.
Yes, of
Right?
course you do. Of course
You've
you
got
do.
to sort them sometime.
You have.
So that's
yeah.
a biggie. That's something that needs to be said.
Yeah.
Really. But you go and you get, and you're met with what you expect. For example, if you expect there is nothing, like a lot of people don't believe there's anything on the other
That's
side.
right. I had this conversation with
I've got
someone
a
in my
son
group
like
just the
that,
other
yeah,
day.
Yeah. There is something on the other side.
Yeah. But you'll get nothing for a while until you realise.
Until you realise.
Hang on a minute, I'm still thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
Everybody around me looks exactly the same because you're only moving into the fourth, maybe the fifth dimension initially. Right?
Exactly.
And there's several levels in those dimensions.
Exactly.
And you go where your vibration is comfortable.
But you have memories of this, do you?
Sorry?
You have memories of this.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yes. So you go and everything feels comfortable. And you are met, of course. I mean, everybody knows that you're met your loved ones or whoever needs.
So your relatives that you are close to, that you loved and had a good connection with, they will be there.
They will definitely be there. If you think about them, and they're definitely going to be there anyway.
So you'll be there for your children.
I'll be there for my children, yes. And but if you're a very, very religious person, supposing a different religion to what we normally have here.
To say Christianity.
Yeah, whatever.
You would see Jesus.
You would, you'd have angelic beings and Jesus type figures or whoever.
But you'd still see your relatives, would you, after you?
No, the relatives actually come first.
Ah, right, okay.
Because they're the greeters.
They're the greeters.
They're the greeters, all right. It's their, and you might, if you've been very ill, you might need recovery.
Right.
I've actually been on the other side into their hospitals.
Yeah, I've seen one of the. It wasn't a hospital, but it was a rehabilitation centre.
Yeah, for whatever the reason.
In fact, it was for cancer. It was called and this is in dream time, a lucid dream, out of body experience. It was called a cancer rehabilitation centre, but the people there were all called cancer survivors. And I remember asking, because a friend of mine passed over from cancer, who was quite young. He was only like 48 when he passed, and he was there. I'd gone to see him, and I said, "Cancer survivors." And some of the individuals were wearing like sort of normal clothes and walking around, and others were still in their hospital gown with like a drip with them, and the person with me was saying they haven't realised yet what's happened.
That's right.
But they're all cancer survivors. And I said, how? Well, because they survived cancer, of course.
Yeah.
Otherwise they wouldn't be here.
That's right. And you see, the thing is, you get what you expect to get. And if you can't accept where you are, you stick with what you know.
So they told me about my father, because he was aware of this, not in the way you are, but to a degree, that he would have gone further or faster than the average person because of what he'd already learned. So this will occur with you. It'll be a faster moving awareness.
It's a question of your vibration, of your soul. Like we all know that, like when we channel, we go to a certain vibration or we wouldn't connect. Or we're either going to connect dearly departed or we go straight up to Jesus or whoever, Melchizedek. Depends on your vibration. You cannot move into a vibration. It's impossible. That it's too high for you.
Yeah.
You will only go into a vibration that is comfortable
for you.
Otherwise, if you try to go into something higher, it won't happen, because it's like putting a very weak fuse into a strong current. It'll blow.
Yes, exactly.
It can't happen.
No.
So you will enter the vibration that is comfortable for the state of your own vibration.
Yes, an equal match to your vibration.
So your father went a bit higher because he's of a higher vibration, because of his knowledge and his soul journey or whatever.
Yeah.
So you will end up where you are comfortable. You will never be uncomfortable. All right? You cannot be. They won't allow it. But see, there's one story which I must have told you before, which might resonate with some people. This is why I want to tell it. I was asked to do a house clearance of a ghost. And it was a parson in a parsonage. And he was clomping around. See, obviously, I do soul rescue, so I was asked to go and do a soul rescue. And I found him. And I said, well, you know you're dead. He said, yeah, I know I'm dead. I said, well, what are you doing here for?
Mhm.
You know, why don't you go over? During his life as a parson, he preached hellfire and damnation if you didn't behave. He believed it strongly. Believed it so strong he was afraid to go. You see, so his beliefs of what it was like kept him here.
Yeah, he was in resistance to going there.
Yeah.
As a soul.
So I explained to him it wasn't like that. I tried to tell him it wasn't like that. Trying to do my soul rescue. He wouldn't believe me.
Oh.
He's still there.
Oh, is he?
You see?
He's still there.
He's
Well,
still
this is
there.
the thing with time. It's interesting because the book I'm writing, I return at the end of the book to discuss my dad. And he's kind of still there. And yet the whole book, I started writing to the 9 about this in 2018, but I only finished the book like 2 months ago, so it's been a 4-year journey overall. But my dad's in the same place. There were certain changes, but nothing changed that much in 4 years. But the interesting thing is, it's interesting that you say you get what you expect or what you match vibrationally, and I know this. But when I talked about my father was very analytical. He would want to examine everything before he made any kind of decision about what it was, whether it's a concept or a thing or a person. So they showed me this rainbow bridge. It's like in a way, almost like a digital bridge of digital rainbow dots. But it's not. It's more like a sort of a plasma crystal.
It's energy. Yeah.
An energy. And most people walk across it to go to the destination.
But he wanted to analyse
He
it.
was down on the ground looking at the pieces of the bridge, and he wouldn't move on because he wanted to know what the bridge was before he went across it. And I thought, oh, that's my dad all over.
Yeah. Well, you could always ask Spirit to give him a nudge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully I might be able to visit him, and I've seen him in other scenarios, and it's interesting because he had dementia. Sometimes I'll meet 2 fathers, and one has not got dementia and the other one has, and I'll talk to them both. It's really strange.
Why not? You see, supposing you were a scientist, talk about your dad being analytical, their world
very
is
different.
science.
Yeah.
So when they go over, they'll go into a field that is suitable for them. Scientists will be around, it'll be all stuff that they can work with, and they'll be happy. Because they're going into something, it's not dropping off the old to that extent. They can ask questions, they can go to classes, they can do whatever they like. It's beneficial to them in every way, and they get advice. Now, I have been into hell on the other side. I don't know my own personal hell. I've been taken into hell.
Yeah,
other people's
I've kind of
hells.
been somewhere similar.
Yeah, to rescue people from hell. And what it explained is, if any of those who self-imposed hell, there isn't, it's not visited on them, it's what they've created.
Yeah.
If they ask for help, anytime they say, look, I don't like this anymore, can you help me out of this? They will be helped. Somebody will come forward and they will take them out. They don't have to stay in hell.
No.
So anybody, well, I'm saying this because if there's anybody who's really feel that they, like the vicar, really bad, and their perceived notion is when they go, God, I'm going to have to pay for my sins and all that sort of stuff. It's helpful to them to know that if you're going to pay for your sins, it won't be when you pass over.
No.
All right, you'll be faced with them deal with once you've got over the trauma of going. And there'll be people there to help you.
And then if you choose another incarnation, you take
it
that
doesn't
with you.
have to happen right there and then.
No.
And a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm going to be faced with what I did last week, perhaps.
They don't really understand how karma works.
It works in a different way. But other people don't understand. So that's why I'm saying it now.
Yeah.
It's nothing to be feared.
No.
It's to be welcomed.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why you're excited.
I am.
About the next big adventure. Do you think that's a good title for this interview as a video? The next big adventure.
The next big adventure.
Shirley Battie, that's a good title.
Yeah, lovely.
So what would you say to someone whose relative is passing, is getting ready to leave the physical, who doesn't have spiritual beliefs necessarily or religious beliefs necessarily, obviously that individual will draw to them what they expect when they pass. But is there anything that a spiritually aware brother or sister or parent or daughter or son, is there anything they can do to assist the non-spiritually aware relative to give comfort to the spiritually aware relative?
Well, I would suggest that you treat them as if they'd gone in a way, because you talk to them, and if they're really that close, just talk to them and say, look, what do you think it's going to be like when you pass over? And get them to say what they think is on the other side. Then it gives you a starting point.
Okay.
They might say, well, there isn't anything on the other side. And then you can put them straight, all right? Or I'm a bit nervous, there won't be anybody there and I won't see my mum, blah, blah, blah. And then having asked the question...
We'll get them to think.
It gets them to think. And for
focus.
you to be able to respond appropriately to them, rather than what you want to tell them. It's responding to what's in their heads. And not to be afraid, because it's easy.
Is there anything that can be done to align their vibration, such as clothing they wear as they're passing, or crystals? Is there anything, placing crystals in their hand? Or is it really just the vibration of the physical body and the soul?
I think it's...
So crystals won't do a great deal,
I
particularly.
personally think it's gone past that. If they're on their last days, moments even.
Playing music?
Music is always nice.
That's what I did with my father.
Yeah. Music is always nice. It's nice and dreamy and soft. And telling them, it's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Because it's lovely just keep repeating. It's absolutely lovely on the other side. It really is.
Yeah.
And you won't have any more pain.
Yeah.
Because they're usually in pain.
Yeah.
Well, I don't say always, because some people just go just like that.
As I said, you're such an inspiration that you're going through this journey and you're still able to help others.
Well, maybe I'm going through it simply to help others.
Yes,
it could be
of
that
course.
reason alone.
Of course, your very existence, when you are aware, everything you do is there to help the greater collective, isn't it?
Well, we're all here to help each other. And I think I just know it, so I'm here doing what I can. There's things I can't do. I can't talk like you do, because you're way over me with your knowledge. Seriously, I'm in awe of how much you can retain and pass on.
But I think you're so similar. And you have all this knowledge as well. You just explain it differently, but it's the same. You say the same things.
Yeah. Well, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's been lovely to talk to you. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we finish our interview, our chat?
I can't think of anything right at the top of my head. No, not really.
Would you...
Why my own family that's deceased, and quite a few of them have gone, they never come through.
No?
Anybody. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yes,
And I've got a brother and two sisters, and my mum and her husband, and all sorts on the other side.
Would it be that they're not able to find the connection and energy to come through?
It could be.
But you've never spoken
no
to
idea.
them?
No.
Or
my
in
mum came
dreams?
through at the beginning.
Oh.
She did come through on the church platform thing.
No.
Yeah. And I'm told she travels with me when I travel.
Oh, that's nice.
So, she is connecting,
So, do you think after your work with the White Brotherhood, do you think you might incarnate back into a physical form? Might you come back to New Earth? You've got such a huge choice when you're aware and awakened, and you've got those memories intact. So you've got multiple star systems. I actually see you being very connected to the Pleiades. Have your guides ever told you that?
Yeah, I am very connected to the Pleiades. Very connected. In fact, other mediums, not my own guides, have said that these spaceships, because a lot of them travel around in spaceships, not necessarily from their home star system. They're doing a lot of travelling, and I can go into that, but that's a bit complicated. That I will go back on board one of these spacecraft and take charge again. They can't wait for me to take charge.
Wow.
So it won't be, I don't know, there's more than one of us anyway.
Yeah, and it's nice to have mystery. I'm connected to the Pleiades. I feel that's where I know you from, I would say.
It probably is, yeah. I'm very, very connected to the Pleiades. In fact, it's a Pleiadian, him up there, who got me to write the books in the first place.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what's his name?
Sechem. I've written about him in my trilogy.
Trilogy.
He's the one that got me to write the books. He was on about it for ages.
That's the trilogy, Calling Earth.
Yeah.
So there's 3 books in that trilogy.
It's Calling Earth
obviously.
1, Calling Earth 2,
Calling Earth 3.
They've got different subtitles, of course.
Okay, and they're all on Amazon, Calling Earth, in Kindle and in paperback form.
Yeah.
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 Fabulous.
All forms you want, really, basically.
Fabulous.
I haven't got it on audio.
No, I haven't done audio yet.
It's too expensive, apparently. It's very expensive to do.
Is it? I didn't know. I've had so many people ask me to do audio, but apparently you need to really get the audio right, and it can.
But you see, I've only got this life, 24 hours.
Oh yeah,
a day.
I know. There's not enough time. Yeah.
These people who would suggest it, they're not doing it.
Mm.
It's easy to suggest it to somebody else, but they're not doing it.
Well, I really hope if anyone feels drawn to read any of your books that they do go and purchase them and read them, because that's connecting with your legacy, connecting with your energy, connecting with you.
And if they do that and like it, would they please write a review?
On Amazon, yeah.
Well, it's reviews that people look for.
Exactly, yeah.
So
that'd be nice.
Yeah.
So... Okay, well, thank you so much,
Thank you,
Shirley.
Magenta,
Thanks for
coming.
talking to me.
Oh.
You're so amazing to talk to.
Well, you'll have to come again.
I will.
I know you're not exactly on the doorstep.
No, but, drove down. Thank you, everyone, for listening today to my talk with Shirley. I hope you can sense the energy and the joy and the fun that we have when we chat. And I hope you've got something from our conversation. Thank you very much. So bye. Do you say bye-bye?
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Love you all.
Yeah, love you.
I do, I really do.
Yeah, I do really do as well.